Study section 1. Methods of social control through the law in Nigeria. What is social control? Social control is the control of social behaviors. That is the behavior that affect others. The Constitution of Nigeria as amended has provision for the exercise of rights as well as duties for its citizens. So when you talk of right always has a duty that attached with it. So these things are encompasses in what we call social control. Where there is no social control, they are bound to be anarchy. People behave the way they like. It will become survival of the fittest. For instance, a person has the right to decide whether or not to work under certain conditions. If he chooses not to work, he cannot be forced by law to do so against his will. This is because nobody expects himself or members of his household, are likely to suffer from his decision. Now, if I choose not to work, it has nothing to do with the government. It's a personal issue. I will suffer it. And those that are dependent on me will suffer it. So these things are forced us to know our rights and limitations. However, if Mr. A, driven by inordinate ambition, I tend to steal the food or money of Mr. B, it then becomes the concern of society to control his act or tendencies in overall interest of the society. Law is an instrument of social control, helping to maintain social order. Techniques or tools for social control. There are 7 main techniques used in modern law. 7 of them. So, and you must have to be conversant with these techniques as we are going to take them one after the other. The first one is the penal technique. Where a person is alleged to have committed a crime, the victim, instead of resorting to vengeance or self-help, report the matter to police. Now, what we are talking about, what we are saying here is that when you have a visitation or an annoyance, you are not expected to act. There are social control, there are institutions that you are meant to take that matter, who by the backing of the law will look at the reported matter and follow them judiciously to make sure that either you are giving the compense for that, or the person will be punished. So the victim, instead of resorting to vengeance, self-help, reports the matter to police. The police will investigate the matter and decide whether or not to prosecute the matter depending on the available evidence. In case the police decide to prosecute, the suspect is arraigned in the court where he will be given opportunity to defend himself, and that is fair hearing. Now, there is no way in our constitution it's enshrined that nobody is adjudged to have committed crime without the law courts. So it is the duty of the police to investigate a report or an incident and charge same to court. In ideal cases, but in Nigeria, we understand that in most cases, you see some of our police, they behave as if to say that they will prosecute a matter and equally give a judgment on that matter by summary execution and all this. You remember vividly when some youths rose against Nigerian police as far because of SARS and their actions at that time. But what it ought to be is that the police will take the matter to court. It is at the behest of the court to determine the tenacity of that offense, whether it's committed actually based on the available evidence. Anything less than that is not according to the law. 2, we have the grievance remedial technique. While the penal techniques involve matters relating to public order or criminal law, the grievance remedial technique is applicable mainly in the area of civil law. The technique establishes some substantive rules, principles, and standards which create legal rights and duties, and defines the proper remedies in case of breach It also provides for the enforcement of rights and duties through the law court. So what is it talking about? You know, there in law and in the system, in the social environment, you have criminal cases and civil cases. Not all cases, once you hear people are going to court, you think it's a criminal offense. No. You might have a disagreement that pertains to contract. You enter into a contractual agreement with somebody. For instance, landlord and tenant issue. You know, it's a civil matter, it's not a criminal matter. Maybe they'll be dragging one issue. So it is left for court to look at the available evidence and decide whether there's going to be a remedy for a breach of contract, whether there is going to be, there are a lot of things so that court will be able to determine what will be suited for such a situation. Those areas and those aspects of law are known as civil action. The remedies available to any aggrieved person are multifarious, depending on the nature of the right that is breached and the circumstances of each case. Thus, the logical basis of this technique is that if adequate remedy is granted to an aggrieved person, he is likely to be genuinely pacified. In this way, the law will succeed in discouraging injustice and dissuading aggrieved people from taking laws into their hand. The third one is the public benefit confront technique. This technique is aimed at ensuring the prioritizing of the welfare of members of the society in the expectation that this will, in the final analysis, bring about order and peace. These techniques appear to be effectively used by the developing countries because they are also seeking to create more conveniences for the people. It is known fact that the government of the United States of America can send an airplane to survey the life of a single American who is trapped in another country in an emergency situation. In Nigeria, many programs have been introduced at different times in different sectors of the economy aimed at alleviating the lives of poor and underprivileged. So it's well understood. So, and also we look at the fourth technique, we say constitutive technique. This technique fosters social order by facilitating the pooling of efforts and resources together among group or groups of people to achieve certain desirable social ends, such as promotion of commerce, charitable, social, and cultural objectives. So these are the things that the law is trying to regulate. The next slide. The next one is the administrative regulatory technique. Under this technique, government agencies adopt regulatory standards. Now, with these techniques, there are processes, there are procedures, that coordinates how things are run in a system, say governance. If you don't have this system backed up by law, everybody will be behaving, no coordination, people will be behaving the way they want, and at the end of the day, the whole system will crash. So it's a very, very important technique. We have the physical technique. The physical technique has been used in modern times to discourage certain antisocial behaviors, thereby helping to bring about measure of social order. Also, some taxes have been used ostensibly to redistribute income and bridge the widening social gap between the laws and the has and the has not in the country. Some taxes include the income tax, capital tax. So is the physical, when you talk of physical techniques, we are talking of something that have to do with the financing and taxation. So it is the law that is backing tax that tries to encourage the distribution of finance so that the has will not continue to have. So that things will equally be distributed so that it will not engineer a social disorder. So the sixth one, right, is the private arranging techniques. These techniques operate in the area of civil law. What the private arranging technique does is for the law to provide a framework of rules which will determine the validity of private transaction and then leave the individual with the option of arranging his private affairs the way he likes it within the framework of the law. Two examples of private arranging techniques are marriage and the making of will. Marriage under Marriage Act or registry, or under the custom, or a combination of any of the two. Well understood. The summary. In this summary, we have discussed various aspects of social control through law. So remember, what we are talking about is how law modifies how people behave. So we've been able to look at the techniques the law has been able to deploy to maintain various areas of life. That's what we've been able to deal in this very section. I hope you understand it, and you have to go and still make more studies so that you'll be well grounded.